let me pull up my notes here. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stumblin Forward. I'm one of your hosts, Monica Ortega.
And I'm Kristen Herman.
And today we have a really awesome guest. So Chelsea Baldwin is a multi-business entrepreneur and founder of businessbitch.com and the Business Bitch podcast. She helps new and starting entrepreneurs go from $0 to $300,000 per year as soon as possible with her unique coaching methods that are rooted in the idea that impatience is a virtue. If you make moves today, you'll be closer to your goals today instead of taking a month or more to procrastinate. Hey, Chelsea, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. Sorry, I was like chugging my smoothie right at the beginning.
No, that made me laugh so hard. I was like, it's okay. We can't actually hear you doing it. So
I didn't actually see that because it was over on the reading page.
That's why I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. But
this is why people need to watch the video on YouTube when it goes up for all of the random stuff that they'll never see.
And then you can actually get the sneak peek of why we're cracking up. But First question, Chelsea Baldwin, are you related to Alec Baldwin?
No, I'm not.
Darn.
I've been getting that question since high school and I always have to say no.
No, you should just pretend like, he's
I feel like I need to make up a story around that, but I haven't yet.
It's okay. Everyone thinks I'm related to the chips and salsa people, so I'd be a lot more rich if I was.
I never connected that one, but I love chips and salsa. So anyway, Chelsea,
we are off the rails already. Welcome to the show, Chelsea. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I guess rewinding back to when I was in college, I got a degree in journalism. It was my dream at 18 years old to work for Rolling Stone and interview rock stars and write up stories about them. But I graduated in 2010, which was like right off the last sort of recession and market crash. And also at that time, lots of print media companies were closing because everything was going online. E-readers had already been out for a while, but it was like consuming media and journalism via digital means was becoming way more prevalent. And so a lot of companies did close and the ones who stayed open weren't hiring. So I had to figure out ways to make money freelance writing online. And most of that just inherently ties back to freelancing for businesses because that's who's trying to get attention online is so they can make money and sell stuff. So I started freelancing, writing articles for ehow.com, which they were, I don't even know if they're still up, but they were pretty shitty. I mean, by my standard now, shitty, but at that time I was really excited to be writing them. They were cheap per article rates, but I was excited to be making money. And through that process, I learned a ton about content and the internet and how it all works together. So I evolved as a freelance writer. I evolved as a marketer. I started my first company while I was a freelancer, but I established the company shell and I developed it into a copywriting agency. And then out of that developed demand for coaching, which was how Business Bitch came to be.
Nice.
I love that. So, okay, you got to tell us about the title. How did you come up with the title? Why Business Bitch? I love it. It caught my eye right away.
Well,
my eye too.
I was in the shower and I got the idea for it. So at one point in like late 2018, early 2019, it became clear that certain elements of Copy Power were not working the way I wanted them to work. So I decided in February, like in January to in February, I would just kind of take a break. Like I still maintained the company, but I didn't do anything to try to grow it. So I gave myself like space to think and just do whatever. I couldn't even tell you what I was doing at that time, but I was just taking time off. And so the idea came to me into the shower because I had all these business coaching ideas and I did offer business coaching through Copy Power as well. And it was well received and it helped people, but it was almost like there's too much under one roof. So I needed to figure out how to do that. So I knew I wanted to figure out how to work those things together or apart, or just what it was going to look like moving forward. And so I got the idea for businessbitch.com in the shower. And then with that came a bunch of ideas of cool things I could do with that name, like the Business Bitch podcast and other things. And I got out of the shower and I got online, and businessbitch.com was still available. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it was available. But you can negotiate those URLs, FYI, for anyone who has someone who's squatting on the domain that they want. You can negotiate them.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm. Check into that.
Yeah. So yeah, and then so that was like on a weekend. And then by Monday, I was like finding lawyers and in touch with a lawyer to figure out like what was legally available. It was all in the clear. And so I bought the domain, I established the LLC, and then within 19 days, I had a website up, ways for people to pay me, and a business running.
Talk about like hitting the ground running and just like taking off with it.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I'm like, most people do come up with their best ideas in the shower. So really take your time in there, guys. But don't waste water.
Right.
That would be like a name like Shower Thoughts or something like that.
No, there has to be. Yeah. It's like best music for shower thoughts.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
You just thought of it and then went for it. So obviously that's part of your business model now, is not being impatient and moving forward. How do you explain that to other people? Is it more of just like learn as you go? Do you feel like you made a lot of mistakes because you did that, or was it more of a virtue?
How do I explain my story, or impatience is a virtue to people?
Yeah, because I feel like one of the biggest things I hear with entrepreneurs is they have the idea, they start doing the research, and then they never put it into use, or like it goes 2 years and then they're like, I have this thought.
Yeah, well, fortunately for me, I had already been in business, and like my business was to help other businesses. So I knew what I was doing. And by the nature of copywriting, it's a lot of marketing, a lot of getting attention online. So I knew how to do that. And I also knew that businessbitch.com would really help me do that. So yeah, I kind of knew what to do to get started, how to put offers together, because I already had that experience of entrepreneurship. But yeah, I do hear a lot of people having ideas and then never implementing it. So that's like where and I get really frustrated at it, because it's like, if you would just freaking do it, like you would have some of your goals achieved.
Yeah.
You would bring your ideas to fruition, you would have success, but you don't do it. So it's not going to happen. So that's just my own personal frustration with it. And the people who want to work with me really like vibe with that. And, you know, if you don't know what you don't know, that's where you can buy someone's training or read a blog post, listen to a podcast, buy a course, hire coaching, whatever. But if you do know what to do, you just need to freaking do it.
Yeah, there's so much content out there now to learn from. And I'm kind of your mindset. I'm a big believer in failing forward and just going for it. But that is probably the number one thing that I hear from entrepreneurs is like, well, how do I get started? Or I can't think of a name. It's like there's so many hurdles that they can make, or just go for it and learn as you go. So,
and they get caught up in those hurdles as well. They get caught up, they get intimidated, and then they stop themselves in their tracks because they don't want to make those mistakes, which is actually a good thing to make sometimes.
Yeah. What would you say were some of like the mistakes that you made along the way that maybe you've learned from?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think across both businesses. I think, well, one mistake I'm learning from right now in hindsight is I made this really great course for Copy Power, it's called Write a Better Website. And so my fees to hire me to write under Copy Power were high. Like they weren't cheap, but I gave like really high end copy and stuff that got a ton of conversions and did really well and sold a lot of services, products, whatever the person was selling. But because they were expensive, a lot of people couldn't afford it, but I was getting on the radars of people of being a really great copywriter. So they wanted to learn from me. And so I made this course, and I launched it to my email list and got great results, like launching it, like high conversion rates and everything. But I never like went all in on getting it out to the masses. And I really missed out on, hopefully I can make up for lost time with it now, because I'm about to start doing some ads and like doing a relaunch of it, basically, because I just redid all the videos and the workbook and everything. But yeah, I didn't push, like I pushed to get myself in front of people, because you have to get in front of people to get attention, but I never like went full force. And maybe I didn't know how to go full force because I had a marketing background, but not an advertising background. And I don't know. I saw how I could like get by and make the money I needed to make just by doing what I was doing. And I didn't quite realize that. So if I like, that's one thing, if I could go back in time to tell myself, I would tell myself. So that's something that, I mean, I can't undo it, but hindsight is 2020, right? So
well, I think one thing you brought up a good point, that you can always repurpose that content, right? You can relaunch it. I'm just learning this now about like book launches, because I'm in that process of like, look, the beginning is important to get it out right away, but it doesn't mean you can't come back and do it all over again, especially when you have evergreen content like copywriting, and there's always new people starting businesses. So I think that's one of those hurdles, again, that people kind of get stuck on is, but I don't know this, or I'm going to screw this up, or it failed the first time, and then they give it up instead of going like what you're doing of let's relaunch it, let's rethink about it and try again, because a new audience isn't going to know you did it the first time. So it may have been a mistake at the time, but the key is to like learn from it and move forward. So it sounds like you're doing all the right stuff there.
So what do you think with that business bitch? Do you feel like people, what can they utilize with that specific site to launch their business or to improve their business rather than other sites that they might have?
Yeah, so I have just a lot of really to the point free content. Like I have 3 main coaching pathways under Business Bitch, just because they're the pathways that I have been successful in. And so that's what I coach on. So I don't try to coach you on e-commerce because I've never done e-commerce, right? I'm not going to be one of those people. But so freelancing, consulting, and selling digital products. So if you want to like get started and make your first digital product, there's something there to help you with that. If you want to get more freelance clients, or you don't know how to get the attention of potential freelance clients so you can land gigs, like there's something there to help you with that. Likewise for consulting, like how do you get in the room, or like digital room, of the right people, of the movers and shakers in your industry, so you can get hired for hiring consulting contracts. So it's very like, if you go, like there's a freebies tab and it's very clear like where to go to get the help, and the help on whatever topic that you want. And that's kind of like my vision for all of the company, like the blog, the website itself, the podcast, is to just have very clear, actionable stuff along with inspiration that people can use to grow or to launch their company into making money, not just like getting a web presence up, but making some freaking money.
Actually converting. I love that. So what are your goals with the podcast and the site and the coaching and all of that? Where do you see all of this kind of going?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I want to reach the masses with. And I need to figure out how to do that, because you can't really, like, I can run ads for Copy Power, but you can't really run ads with bitch in your URL.
Oh.
I was gonna ask that, like, how is it when you're trying to promote Business Bitch, because you're like, maybe you're not supposed to say the word bitch or something. But that's the same thing with like the book You Are a Badass, or I think there's also like another book like No Fucks Given or something like that. Excuse my language. But like, I mean, it's like but those are the things that catch people's eyes. That's what people want to see sometimes, because they're like, that's curious.
Yeah. And so like in Business Bitch right now, I'm just using a lot of organic marketing on social media, like especially LinkedIn, because that's where a lot of motivated people hang out, or people who are trying to grow their businesses hang out, or trying to get clients hang out. And so I have like Chelsea Baldwin, and right under that it says businessbitch.com, and then there's a little bit more after that, but that gets attention, and I share content that's very much in the vibe of something that you would expect from a website called businessbitch.com. So that has helped a lot, and I've gotten a lot of traffic from LinkedIn just by doing that, even without a humongous following. So I'm working on finding the best ways to leverage things where I'm not so like policed in my speech, because like ad platforms will shut you down if you do that. Like I had, like I did one experiment way back in the day with Copy Power, and I ran ads to a landing page that had the word shit somewhere all the way like near the bottom, and they shut down my ad account. And I was like, I can't find anything because I just don't have a filter for curse words.
Yeah.
So, but I did eventually figure it out, and they let it go back up, but it still wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wasn't putting enough money into the account anyway to make much of a difference.
But you eventually kind of figured yourself like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Like, what can't I do? And like to actually put ads out there eventually with the Business Bitch and maybe your own speech, or is it still kind of like a question?
Whether or not I'll do ads for Business Bitch?
Whether you can do it with like your own speech.
Well, you definitely can't do it with the word bitch.
Okay.
Very clearly on the page. So I might have to figure out a way to like set up a parallel website that has cuss words edited out of it or something to still sell the products. But I need to figure out what that stuff is. And so I don't break rules. You know, I'm not trying to like
cause a problem. Asterisks, or whatever, like something. But,
nice. So I might have to do that, but like my focus right now is getting the Write a Better Website course through Copy Power really streamlined, and then taking what I learned there, because once I have that sort of blueprint for what works really well for me and my style on launch, because my personality is the same in both businesses, is just very sassy and straightforward. And then I'll be able to kind of use that for Business Bitch, and maybe like hire a consultant who can tell me what the rules are, what I will and won't get shut down for, what will make the platforms mad and what won't make them mad.
Well, that's
so what are some, go ahead. We always do that. We're always just like, okay, you go first.
I was just going to say, so what kind of advice would you have for people that are starting out? Like what's maybe a tip or two that you can tease from your course that could help somebody?
From the copywriting course or from some other thing?
You have like a website building,
Business
right?
Bitch.
Like the Business Bitch courses.
Oh yeah. So on Business Bitch, I have like one that will help you make a digital product, and one that will help you like land 5-figure client deals.
Okay. So maybe one tip for each.
Yeah. So the big premise behind my approach to passive income, which is like, you can learn this more about it. I have a freebie and a paid course. Like the freebie obviously is much shorter, and the paid course goes more in depth on how to do it. But it's like, just get started. The big thing is just getting started. And with creating passive income products like digital courses or digital trainings, especially if you've never done it before, one of the best things that you can do is just to create a small product that doesn't cost a lot and launch it right away and get some sales. So my like sort of benchmark is to charge $15 or less, which is really cheap. But because it's really cheap, it's not going to take a lot to make. And it's at that price point where if you're solving a problem with it, people can easily say yes to buying it. So you get, paid back for the time that you put into it. And then you can make that, you can learn from it. You can make another small thing or something slightly bigger, or, you learn the skill set so you can easily and quickly make bigger courses or trainings or bigger digital products, whatever it is that you sell.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that idea because I feel like courses is one thing that's super intimidating for people. I know it is for me. You know, people talk about courses and I'm like, oh, no, that sounds like a whole project. But I like that way of doing it.
Yeah. So I have courses, like Write About Our website is like modules, workbook, and all that. But I also have smaller digital trainings I've sold that are like video or audio plus like a PDF workbook. And those sell well. Yeah. And they're easy for people to buy and they help people. And they didn't take much time to make.
Yeah. I think that those are the best because honestly, if it is something that's not like, I mean, courses are great because I feel like you can ask and like receive, but if you're doing like workbooks and video as well, it really does help with like it's your own time and you can get it done as well. Or is it always going to be like scheduled? Those are like workbooks you can do on your own, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. But I think that's great.
Courses. That's just the idea of putting one together seems super scary. So I feel like that's where your courses would be great for people. A course about a course.
How do you make it? Course is about making courses. That'd be great.
I actually bought one of those the first time I made a course, and I kind of like, in hindsight, it was not worth what I paid for it. But that's another thing that I've learned and why I put out my little thing. Cause like I have the freebie that kind of guides you on the $15 or less process. And then I have a training. It's not a course because it's just a video really where I share a screen and show you how to do things. And it's only like, it's less, I want to say it's $67 because it's like, it's not like, the course about the course thing definitely slowed me way down because there was way more content than I needed. And if you can be nimble at first, then you just grow your skill set naturally. And you are making money in the meantime. So,
right. So what's a tip for your converting clients?
I think if you want, like, especially trying to land clients or high paying client gigs, one of the best things that you can do is price anchor. So I learned to do this because I knew I wanted to make a lot of money as a freelance writer and a copywriter. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I started cheap, like I was writing cheap articles. But when you start really working in the mechanisms of business as some sort of freelancer, like copywriter, designer, developer, whatever it is that you do, there's always some way to anchor back what you do to how much more money it will make the company. So when you start talking about, okay, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is our opportunity here to make you this much money in this much time, and you talk about that, and then when you get to the end, you say, oh, by the way, this is the price. Maybe you can make $100,000 for them, and your price is only $10,000. It's like, wow, okay, this. Whereas if you started like, oh, this costs $10,000 and this is what you get, that's a little bit harder to say yes to than saying, oh, okay, well, this is how much I can make, and then this is how much it can cost to get there and how much time it will take. And so there's more that goes into that, like making a timeline so they can clearly see it and stuff. And that's what I teach in the training, and it goes into like deeper detail. But
and honestly, that's so valuable, because if you can really break it down and to make it into like almost like an equation, for yourself, it gives you such specificity in your mind of like, where's your goal? What are you actually achieving?
An ROI, that's all a business really cares about, right? So like even with our travel show, when we started making higher paydays, it was because we said, look, you can hire a photographer, you can hire this person, you can hire this. That's what I should do actually, is break down the cost of everything they would pay and then say, but for the two of us,
that would be your total. What's the total you could be doing and what's the total you have, so totally.
That's awesome.
So with your businesses, because I know you have a few, and I know you're doing your own thing with the podcast as well as, Business Bitch. What's the overall goal? What's like 5 years from now? What do you see for yourself and your businesses?
Yeah, well, the big picture goal is to just get more money into the hands of good people. That's what we really need in the world, and to like not keep people small, because, yes, you can vote with your votes, but the more voting you do is with your dollars and how you spend your money and where you spend it and who you give it to and who you don't give it to. And so like changing that sort of flow of money, which equals influence and power, that's my big mission with both of the businesses. So in 5 years, I just want to scale up the number of people I'm doing that for and doing that with.
Yeah.
So
like a modern day Robin Hood, a female Robin Hood.
I guess, yeah. So I want to have more clients and then maybe also like partner with people to help do that, like with their audiences, or there's always potential for partnerships to help connect people with the trainings that they need to get to where they want to go, right? So
nice.
That's the vision for 5 years. Is that specific enough for you?
That's perfect for me. I love it. Yeah. I'll take that money. I'll take some money.
Most of us
right?
have,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I just want this.
No, I love it. Do you have anything else you want to share for our listeners?
I don't think so. I think I would just say, like, if you're thinking about it, just get started in some way. Like, don't put obstacles in front of yourself that don't need to be an obstacle. Like, I start coaching a lot of people who want to be freelancers or consultants, for example. We don't need to make them a website. You can operate a fully successful freelance business or consulting business from your LinkedIn profile. A website is great, of course. I'm not ditching having a website. I love having a website, but if you're saying, I want to do this, but, or I'll do this after, like, are those but things or are those after things really that necessary? Or could you just start pitching people now?
Exactly. No procrastination and get going. And like you did, just when you got out of the shower, boom, website, boom, love it. But where can we find you then? Where is your Instagram, Facebook, anything like that? LinkedIn.
Yeah. So my Instagram is @businessbitchchelsea, all one word, and Chelsea is CHELSEA. LinkedIn, you can search Chelsea Baldwin. I mean, LinkedIn is where I'm most active. You can search Chelsea Baldwin, and I'm the one that says businessbitch.com underneath. And yeah, getcopypower.com, businessbitch.com, the Business Bitch podcast. I just got on TikTok, so that's @businessbitch.com.
Nice.
That's fun. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, we're going to link to all of that below as well, so that everybody can find you for all the different things.
Yes, it'll be great. And I just thank you again, Chelsea. And for everyone who's listening, we are on Apple Podcasts. Please go and leave 5 stars and a review if you can. We're also on Spotify, Google Podcasts. This video will be up on YouTube. And I'm one of your hosts, Kristen Herman.
And I'm Monica Ortega.
And thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you for being on the show, Chelsea.